Please do not harass any users mentioned in this video. I would like to make this explicitly clear since everybody involved here is a child, as far as I know. They're all younger than I am. Please treat them like their age. Trigger warnings for mentions of grooming, not safe for work, sexual assault, and abuse. There's a lot of you guys now, holy shit. So, I was scrolling through other commentators' comment sections to see if I could steal any content ideas, and I found somebody talking about the Bendy the Bunny situation and saying how it's very similar to the old Spectre situation. Naturally, I hopped into the search bar, put in Bendy the Bunny drama, and oh boy, content! Instantly, I was swarmed with gadget-tubers, re-uploads of animation memes, and the godforsaken Groomer Nene videos. But what could cause such issues within the community? Simple. Teenagers. Okay, enough with the jokes. I want to make both the intention of this video and my stance on this drama crystal clear before anything. This video is to compile any and all information about this situation that I could find in a cohesive manner. My stance on this matter is that Bendy has screwed up, but that a lot of this I do believe is taken as far, far worse than what it actually is. We will begin with explaining who Bendy is. Bendy the Bunny was a FNAF animation meme YouTuber who was apparently very popular as he had over 500,000 subscribers. In February of this year, a user known as Donnie Devs released a Google Doc titled Exposing My Abuser. I read through this and there's a lot of just random shit in there as Donnie tends to trail off and start ranting. So I took out all the screenshots as that's really the best evidence we have, as well as certain parts of the text that I feel require more attention. Let's begin. I would like to point out that while Donnie constantly mentions that he was only 12 or just turned 13, that Bendy's birthday is January 4th, 2006. The two began speaking in January of 2021, meaning Bendy had just turned 15. I would like everybody to keep that in mind given the claims in this document. Donnie reached out to Bendy on Instagram because he was a fan of him when he was 12 years old. He reports that during that time, Bendy was very clingy towards him, and quotes, "He was practically influencing me before I turned 13. He also reports that Bendy was attracted to him far before they turned 13, even though Donnie's birthday is in February. I wouldn't consider a month being far before, but okay. He goes on to say that they broke up either during March or April, and that Bendy apparently was already with another partner at the time, which, if true, yeah, dick move. But I'd like to point out something that Donnie says. He talks about how he was desperate, his words, for his love and attention after the breakup, and quotes, "Of course, what else can you expect from a child who is desperate for love and care?" And in the next screenshot shown, well, I'll read them out to you. Chris is Donnie. I just feel like this is just how I feel, but knowing I can't properly express it by the fact you're in a relationship, I'm a huge mess. My unbelievably huge amount of love for you is forced to be held back. Knowing you're in a relationship and we can't play pretend, and you not telling Al about any of this, and we don't know what to do. I just miss you. I miss loving you that way. I miss dating you. I miss my chance to show all my love for you. I'm just stuck in the other side of the wall of you in a relationship. There's a huge piece missing in my heart. It's you, ... I miss you. I miss us. I sometimes feel like Al is better than me and so much greater and makes you feel happier, more happier than me, and I feel like I'm not good enough for your love or you in general. That makes me think that's why you don't want to come back, ... and just say nothing about it, which makes me think that's what you actually think. It makes me scared to even vent to you because it will hurt you too. I just miss you. I can't and won't move on. I want you so badly, and yet I'm scared of you forcing yourself to be with me and break up with Al. It's so wrong. I don't want you to force yourself knowing it isn't real and Al is hurt. I don't get it. I don't get why I feel this way. I love you and I don't regret it. I'm never happy at all. The only times I felt truly happy was with you. It felt so right, ... so happy. I just think, come back, please come back. I miss you. I'm stuck ... on the other side of the wall. Sad face. And I wish I could sometimes, but honestly, I just feel like I'm struggling to carry this huge heart all by myself. You need to help me carry it, and by us working together, we could handle it. But you were gone. For months, I've been dragging the heart with me, all by myself. I just ... see you from far away with Al. I can't ... get to you. I'm stopped by life. Oh. I really think I'm not good enough for you. It It's so obvious. Al is good enough for you. They're great for you. You were also really good, though. Don't think like that. You were more than just good enough. You were loving, caring, sweet, and you always knew how to help me in any situation. You made me feel so much happier. I... ... Just want to be with you again. I just want to be with you again. Please come back. Please, 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 please. But you literally can't. I miss you. Please, yeah, I'm slowly falling apart. I already am. Please, I just do so badly. Please. But yet, I don't want you and Al to be miserable. Who am I kidding? I'm being annoying. Going on and on how I want to date again. And how much I love you and miss you. And I'm not doing okay without you. What's the point? That won't do anything. Sad face. I'm sorry, I know you won't ever say anything about that, so I know you're only gonna respond to this part. I'm sorry, I'm a fucking mess. I really should stay silent instead of wanting to be with you so badly. No, it's fine, you're releasing it, but don't always expect me to have a response ready. Some I can answer, some I cannot. Yeah, I think we can all agree this is guilt tripping. So, when you're guilt tripping your ex, saying you're falling apart without him, that's you being a child desperate for love and attention. But when Bendy is quote unquote acting clingy, that's him manipulating you. This is my main reason why I look at this whole situation with a skeptical gaze. Oh, also, Donnie tries to claim this isn't guilt tripping later on, but by the very definition, it is. According to Healthline.com, guilt tripping is an indirect approach to communication. Even when you've done nothing wrong, the other person might imply the situation is somehow your fault. They make their unhappiness clear and leave it to you to find a way of fixing the problem. You know, like saying, please come back together with me. I would also like to point out that Bendy was dating somebody else while also dating Donnie, which is a shit person move on his part. And if Donnie knew that they were still together while dating Bendy, after this, that's a shit move on him too. But do I care? No! This honestly should have all been kept private in my opinion, because I don't think that the dating habits of a bunch of teenagers need to be made public to 500,000 people. But no, because Donnie believed this relationship to be grooming. For that, we will take a look at what grooming is. Grooming is a form of child predation where, according to nspcc.org, someone builds a relationship, trust, and emotional connection with a child or young person so they can manipulate and exploit and abuse them. While it is not specified at this website, grooming is usually done by an adult or much older teen to somebody who is much younger, and therefore without the life experience or maturity to recognize that what this person is doing is harmful and bad. I've tried looking into if it's possible for a 15-year-old to groom a 12 turning 13-year-old, and the only people I've seen answer yes aren't scientists or counselors or anything. Either way, in my own opinion, judging by the evidence given, this doesn't seem like grooming. This looks like how teenagers act with other teenagers. I'll go more into where I think Bendy actually severely fucked up in this situation at my conclusion. I would also like to explain what pedophilia is, considering a bunch of people are under the impression that because of these allegations, Bendy would be a pedophile. That is completely false, and I will explain why. For a teenager to be diagnosed with the paraphilia, they have to be at least 16 years old, and their victim would have to be at least 5 years younger than them. Since all of this apparently happened while Bendy was 15, and the only confirmed age gap we have is 2 years and 1 month, he isn't a pedo. Children, quit spreading around that word when you have no idea what it entails. What you most likely mean is that he's a child predator. You can be that without being a diagnosed pedophile. Let's continue. Apparently within a few days they got back together. So yeah, the guilt tripping worked. Good job, Donnie! But now we come across another issue. They start doing what most teenagers do. Being horny. Donnie takes the time to talk about how Bendy shouldn't be sexualizing somebody who's, quote, barely 13, even though he is somebody who is barely 15, and that he shouldn't be sexualizing minors. I was in the mindset that it was normal to sexualize minors in such a manner, to sexualize myself, to see myself as such a thing. I find it odd that they keep using the term minors when they are both minors. Also, it is normal for kids your age to sexualize yourself, to see yourselves as sexual beings. You're going through puberty, your body is full of hormones that are compelling you to be sexual, and it's perfectly healthy to express those sexual feelings with other teenagers you feel comfortable with and can trust. However, you shouldn't be posting nudes of yourself or posting not safe for work art into the online world just yet, because that can be pretty harmful given the people that attracts. But yeah, talking dirty to other teenagers, that's normal. Then we get to the stuff that I do think was honestly the only thing that should have been talked about in the online public that, was mentioned here. That would be the FNAF rape theory. So Donnie, possibly, they aren't sure, introduced the idea of Foxy Bear raping Crying Child, two characters from the indie game Five Nights at Freddy's 4. For context, Crying Child's age is vague and I don't think anything's confirmed, but the first thing that came up when I looked it up was that it ranges from 4 to 10 years old. Foxy Bro's age ranges from 12 to 17. Gross. Now, the theory isn't technically a bad thing to have. Poor taste? Probably. But the main issue comes from Bendy and Donnie's roleplays. Now, I would also like to point out, Donnie mentions how they've been manipulated before from other people into thinking rape scenarios were okay to engage in online. That's completely fair. Children being raised in an environment where they think certain things are okay is very common, and changes how the situation needs to be treated. However, Donnie does not give the same grace to Bendy. Not once does the thought occur to them that Bendy was also manipulated by others into thinking this is okay, and that the responsibility solely relied on him to say that this was bad, despite him being only 15 years old. 15-year-olds are stupid! I would know they're the bane of my existence. While it would theoretically be more likely for Bendy to know better, it isn't a secure fact. I would also like to point out this quote from Donnie saying, "I don't know if I'm being gaslighted into thinking I started it, or he did, because all I see is him leading the whole conversation, and me in distress at the possibility of such a thing." Looking through the screenshots, both of them seem to be responding to each other enthusiastically, and no sign of distress. If you guys see different, feel free to point it out. I'd also like to point out this thing I just found funny. What was even more fucked up was that information was being only taken from Google, and that's just not okay. It's just not, no. Yeah, the rape and child abuse is pretty icky, but Google? Next you're gonna say you got your information from a wiki article. Now, I'd like to point out this quote following the screenshots. Now, Bendy has stopped shipping and going with this nowadays, especially me, and we talked it out, but this still happened. It's still something even he blames me for as of today. Now, if Bendy is blaming you, that is horrible on his part. But you said that you guys talked it out and that he stopped shipping, meaning he now recognizes that it's bad, which means he likely either didn't know why it was bad or didn't understand why, and he improved from it. Good. Moving on. Next, they talk about how Donnie was part of the Dream SMP fandom, and Bendy responded negatively to that because he had past bad experiences with the fandom. I do think Bendy was being really stubborn about it, but I don't know his experiences and how severe they were to his mental health. Either way, not really something I particularly care about. Donnie points out that Bendy's form of communication was pretty lackluster. He was indirect with how he felt about certain things and sent very minimalistic messages in response to Donnie's long ones. I would like to point out, as somebody whose own ex messages like that, some people just talk like that. They tend to not be big texters unless they're really interested in a topic. It's not something you have to deal with if you don't want to, but it is something you kind of have to get used to if you want the friendship to work. Moving on, this quote from Donnie. "He was all I had becoming a teenager. He fucked me over, he seriously did." Donnie previously mentions that the Dream SMP argument happened while they were out with their dad at a museum. So this is probably nitpicking on my part, but you had your dad, right? Bendy wasn't all you had becoming a teenager, unless he was keeping you from talking to other people, which you almost bring up later on, but I'll go further into that when it comes up. Moving on, feel free to ignore that point. Apparently sometime in between that and the next screenshots, they broke up again. They are seen talking about their relationship issues. You can pause to read if you want. I will point out that both Bendy and Donnie in these screenshots say that Donnie guilt-tripped him into getting back with them. Once again, this should have been kept private. But the thing I want to point out is this. When I was hardly 13, quote, guilt-tripping him, I was genuinely panicking, hence him being a huge influence on me. I was desperate, scared of being alone, and I wasn't trying to. In your own words, you admit that you guilt-tripped him. It doesn't matter if that's what you intended, that is what you did. And now you aren't even owning up to it. I can't be as mad at you for doing it when you were 13 because teenagers and relationships are dramatic as hell, but the fact that you're excusing it now and using it to condemn Bendy is disgusting. Bendy, what the fuck? Some of the stuff here is cut up. I don't know if that's an error on the document or something else, but From what I can tell, Bendy gave one final goodbye to Donnie, basically saying they both fucked up and that he hopes they can both forgive the other and move on with their lives. There's a quote from Donnie with their thoughts on it. And shit was just so bad for so long, 5 months of hell. He's even admitted to being clingy to me and that being the only reason he didn't leave me. I was only with him by just how desperate I was when I was hardly 13. Not only is the age gap an issue, but the sheer contrast in maturity level. Yeah, Bendy admitted being clingy to me. I was only with him by how desperate I was. So you both were clingy and desperate. Cool. Teenager gonna teenager. Also, age gap my ass, it's 2 years and a month. My last relationship was about 2 months less than that, and we still besties. Also, sheer contrast, my second ass cheek. The maturity level between a 15-year-old and 13-year-old is minimal. Also, they say that their age gap was like 2.5 years. I did the math. It's 2 years and 1 month. Fuck! The next few screenshots in this doc I will be skipping because, once again, I feel it is relationship things that the public doesn't need to see. For context, it was another breakup, and I do believe the final one. Donnie mentions another alleged victim of Bendy, and shows some screenshots. I'd like to point out that we do not see what caused them to start yelling at each other in the conversation, which, given the rest of this document, I encourage healthy skepticism. Also, even the other person in the conversation admitting that they were, quote, dry with Bendy. Anon also mentions that in a separate screenshot, Bendy was flirting with a friend in a Discord server and was confronted about it. Honestly, completely reasonable. We already know Bendy was with somebody else while with Donnie, so him flirting with somebody other than his partner isn't surprising. Once again, dick move on his part. Anyways, Donnie and Anon had a conversation where Anon claims that Bendy did not want them talking to each other, which is what I alluded to earlier. I will give my opinion on this. I don't blame Bendy for not wanting them talking to each other. Obviously, that relationship was shit for both of them, so it isn't surprising that he wouldn't want his partner talking to his shitty ex. I really doubt you wouldn't react the same if your partner did that with Bendy, Donnie. Moving on, Donnie was reaching out to other alleged victims to talk about him, and he tried to reach out to Tony to talk. They did not respond, and Benny sent out in a community post somewhat talking about the situation. There's also a screenshot showing that Bendy thought of himself as the victim in this situation, which, honestly, I think you both were, but also were both annoying little shits in your own rights. Also, look at the screenshot of Donnie freaking out over Bendy, saying their relationship wasn't grooming. Wow. That was a lot. Now, we're moving on to the next person's video, which I think is the less severe one I've seen. This was made by another of Bendy's exes, a user named H4Husky. I'm just gonna say Husky. Husky claims that Bendy was 16 when they were flirting with each other, although Husky does not say her age. She says she is much younger than him, but given that Donnie tried to push 2 years and a month as 2.5 years, I think I'm quite reasonably skeptical of that idea. Once again, we see that Bendy doesn't really leave huge responses to his partners, where I once again state that this is kinda more how people talk rather than a major issue, but Husky talks about how they made animations and drawings for him, and that he never did anything like that for them. I gotta say, unless he asked you to do that, it isn't necessarily on him. I know I go out of my way to do projects for the people I like, but I don't really expect them to do the same for me. For instance, my ex and I have an arrangement where I send him a little comic doodle every day. Why? Because we both find it fun, and I like to get the practice in. He doesn't do much for me in return for that, but I don't mind because I just like doing stuff for him. Granted, if you guys had conversations about that and he said he would, but then didn't, you'd have a point. But you don't show us that. Once again, the teenagers are being sexual, and since we do not know Husky's age, I do not care. They also make the claim that the only time he's active was when they were talking about sex. While the only screenshots they've shown him having minimal responses was during an argument, I wouldn't really be surprised if this was the case. Bendy's already shown to be kind of a dick within relationships, but once again, I don't really think that would be a cancelable thing. They apparently broke up after a month, and yet again, Husky admits to practically begging him to stay, saying that they would change their sleep schedule to continue the relationship. Kids, learn to take the L. Then apparently Bendy moved on to another relationship soon after, and apparently was flirting with that person before breaking up with Husky. Dick move. Husky then talked about relationships they had with one of Bendy's ex-friends who was apparently harassed by him when they were 12. I would also like to point out that even though Husky says this person has their age and thereabout, the person's name is censored, so we cannot confirm their age. Thanks! In the screenshots shown, one of them is cropped so we don't see who sent it, nor the date it was sent. In the other, we do not see what caused the conversation and why Bendy was so heated. Also, I want to just look at this delightful testimony from this person. I remember when I showed him pictures of my self-harm when I was venting, he just said, "I want to peel the scab off and eat it." Crying emoji. Can I laugh at that? Like, come on, my friends and I have made worse jokes with each other. From all the screenshots shown, we see that Bendy doesn't like them, and in the more damning claims, like him being racist towards Mexicans and wanting this person to be in pain, we get nothing. Hallelujah. They also say that Bendy and this person dated when they were 11 and Bendy was 15. Doubt. Husky mentions that they started dating somebody else about a month after them and Bendy's breakup, and that person broke up with them because Bendy basically told them to. No screenshots shown besides Bendy saying, "Do me a favor, don't get too close to Hatsu. She's nice, but you know." No date shown, and we don't see who he's talking to. It could honestly be a friend of his that wasn't the ex. Oh, and a blurred out tag saying, "I rejected you because of Bendy." Hang on. You said you guys were already dating when this happened. So wouldn't the rejection come before dating? Also, it's kind of hard to see, but it looks like this was sent in July of 2022. You and Bendy broke up in April of that year. You got together with this person a month after you broke up, and then they broke up with you a week later? The dates aren't matching up. However, the alleged 13-year-old you were talking to sent the messages to you in May. I just find that a wee bit suspicious given the funky time frame. You said you had tried to make an exposed document before, yeah? When exactly was that, I have to wonder. Also, Husky's mad that Bendy banned them when they were apparently trying to make the exposed document. And you were surprised. Why? Now we get to the CP allegations. Yay. Husky makes the claim that Bendy told them that he draws CP when he's bored, and that he sent this to prove it. We do not see the screenshot of Bendy saying that he draws CP, which you think would be the important thing rather than the crop slobberfest. Since we cannot see the bodies of the characters and Bendy's style would make judging the ages purely by their faces fucking impossible, this isn't evidence. Husky makes the claim that it was the brothers mentioned earlier. Is it possible? Yeah, very. However, it is also possible that he aged them up to make the art. Also, I find it weird that even though he allegedly deleted all the messages, you managed to have this one saved. Cool. Also, the alleged 13-year-old saying the same as you is not evidence. There is also apparently a video of him sexualizing kids as a joke. We don't see the age of this person, and it honestly looks like two teenagers making sex jokes with each other. Kill me! Also, I find it funny that Husky tries to lambaste Bendy for shit-talking their friend with them, and how they tried to tell him, "Yo, that's not cool." But the screenshots show them actively engaging in the shit-talking. Fun. Sure, it was totally because you wanted him to feel better. Yeah, I actively engage my friends' delusions when I think they're in the wrong. Not like you're making an enabling environment for him, only to condemn him for what you enable. More on this in my conclusion. The rest of this I honestly couldn't really care about. It's just petty friend drama at that point. Babe, one of the claims was that he drew CP for funsies and was a child predator. I don't care if he was shit-talking his friends. Bendy did have one consistent issue that I think he should be aware of, and, well, I'd say he needed to make changes to if he still had his channel, but he's been off YouTube for quite a while now. But that issue would be, stop dating your fans. Judging by each one of the cases shown, they are desperate to please you, and that puts both you and them in a harmful situation. A fan will enable your bad behaviors and lash out at you if you do not fit their idea of you, or if you try to leave them, as we've seen with both Donnie and Husky with their breakups. You also, while you most likely weren't aware of it, had a power dynamic over them, being a popular YouTuber that they were fans of. I can't exactly judge you for that because a big problem with children online is that they do not understand the repercussions of what they put out there and how they behave, especially with an audience. Come on, I'm in the commentary community. Teenagers with big audiences managing to screw themselves over is in no way unheard of. This goes out to both Bendy and anybody watching who may have a following. Be aware of the power you hold and that your word as a content creator can be seen as law to the people online. As for Donnie and Husky, I don't know what made you two think this was okay. I know Husky mentioned somebody encouraged them and others to make exposés on Bendy, but I don't know who that could be. Either way, you two should have thought before uploading these. These should have remained private, and I'm really worried with how easily you guys thought this was grooming, and that any of this would count as evidence. For anybody in my audience, if you are worried you are being groomed, go to authorities on the matter. Be it the police, a helpline, a counselor, anything. Don't go to other kids about it, except for close friends who can give you support. I'm really worried with the amount of children making false grooming accusations online to slightly older children, and I'm even more worried about the amount of people who believe it. Be aware of yourselves, guys.
Okay, so I was not expecting this at all, but after my last video, somebody made me fan art. The person who made it is Offensivent. I hope I'm pronouncing their name correctly. I'm looking at it now, it's so cute. Like, I love the liner colors of it and just how warm it feels to look at it. It's just, ugh, it's gorgeous. I'm in love, thank you. Also, I love how people keep, like, using the term, like, groovy and gnarly to refer to my last video in the comment section. Like, it's like a bunch of 90s people broke into my comment section. I am in love.